Today, on a very special episode of Seventh Heaven, the Camdens learn about the importance of participating in the democratic process. And not much else happens.
Okay, first of all, I need to know.
Yeah.
Who are you channeling? Whose voice? What, like, who?
Channeling?
I don't know. You're like, in the democratic process. Like, what? Like,
That's
who?
That's the voice that came out of me. Like I
Like the
wasn't
CNN, like
channeling-
serious, like voice.
I don't know that I was channeling anything. I was just like, that's just how my brain went to do that message.
And
Like,
nothing else happens. Like, it's so good.
hello and welcome to For Heaven's Sake, a Seventh Heaven podcast. We are your co-hosts, Lady J.
Auntie. I'm sorry. It's so good. And then nothing else happens. Like, it's so good.
How are you, T?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm still going to be giggling about this throughout this episode.
I'm glad. Mission accomplished twice around. Oh my god. It would have been so much better if I had been recording the first time we did that.
It was still a pleasant surprise, and I'm lucky that I heard it the second time.
Me too. Yeah. So I stand by it.
Yeah, you should, because, yeah.
Like, that was born out of the fact that I watched that episode, you know, took all my notes, whatever, and then it occurred to me that, like, truly nothing has happened in this episode whatsoever.
Nothing.
And that it's, like, just lame. So I was like, I need to say something about that.
Love it.
So as not to forget that thought, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Dive right in. So this is episode 905, titled Vote.
Okay. Back to the one-word titles,
Yeah. For, like, once this whole season. The Amazon Prime spoilie is the Camdens gear up for Election Day. And the DVD description is a week before the election, Eric tries to make sure that everyone is registered to vote. Meanwhile, Martin tries to get Ruthie involved in politics. And that's it.
Cool. Okay.
Because that's all that happens.
That is all that happens.
No doubt about it. Yeah. So, the show, okay, the most important thing we need to say right off the bat is the show is very careful to not take a stance one way or the other.
Yes.
Like, it's very careful to not say which side of the fence
They're
it
on.
falls on.
Yeah.
The other actually most important thing to say too is, like, this episode aired on October like 11th-ish in 2004. So, like, a handful of weeks before the actual 2004 election.
Yeah.
Which I should have looked it up, but I figured it might make for good conversation. So in 2000, it was Gore v. Bush, right? Who did he run against in this one? Was it Kerry?
Yes.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, it was Carrie. This one was Carrie.
Okay. That tracks. I just couldn't really remember because there's been so many, like, random candidates over the years, you know? Like,
ain't it
I mean,
truth?
random in history's books. Like, at the time, it was like, get this guy out of here, you know, whatever. But yeah, who knows? So the show is very careful not to indicate one way or the other which way the Camdens or their peripheral friends are voting. And or not just voting, but also, like, where they stand politically. Like, it's kind of not clear.
Yeah, it's not.
The fact that they make a big stink about how Annie and Eric didn't vote makes me feel like they would go Democratic, because it sounds like, oh, like, you guys didn't vote and then this guy ended up in office or whatever.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, then they make a comment about Terminator Night and when when Carter defeated Ford. So I'm like, okay, so, like, what is happening? Which I kind of have to give the show props for, because it wasn't really about that. It was about the idea of, like, go
and vote. Yeah. Get, like, registered.
No matter what happens, like, vote.
Yeah.
Which, that is the good message, and is all the more poignant today as it was back then.
Yeah.
And it will always be.
And I don't know, it's almost like all the words are just recycled. It's the same thing that I've been hearing since I was a kid until now. Not enough voters. We don't have a turnout, or, you know, I don't know. I just feel like I've been hearing the same thing on repeat for so many years where I'm like, okay, so is it still true that we don't have enough turnout when it comes to voters? I don't know.
Well, the truth is, like, I don't know that it's about turnout or whatever. I think the idea is just, like, just vote, man. Like,
yeah.
Honestly, like, I don't know. I don't know what to say without getting political, which
I know this would be
really hard.
I know.
To like not have a stance, right? But like, I'm going to try to keep it as level and as even-handed as possible, as the show does. Like,
yeah.
Like if the show can do it, we can do it,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like the most important message is vote, 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 vote. And more importantly, make sure that you're registered to vote, 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 vote.
Yeah.
Because there is a timeline on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, as we record this, it's late September, and I think there's like another week or maybe a couple of weeks or a month, I guess. I don't really know the time frame on when it's too late to register or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, when is the cutoff.
Yeah, but I know it's like soon. Mm-hmm. And when this airs, it will be maybe even too late. So, like, you know, just like fucking register, make sure you're registered. I like too what they do, because a lot of these characters have like moved, and they make it a point to be like, oh, well, I was, but I haven't re-registered since I moved or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's also important. Like, we move all the time, you know, across states or whatever. And it's like, if you've moved recently, re-register and make sure that you're registered to vote in the place that you are.
Yeah.
Vote, vote, vote.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important. It doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you fall on or what you stand for or what matters to you.
Yeah.
What matters is that you let your voice be heard by voting.
Yeah.
Actually, what's her name said it really good too. At the Emmys recently, Rachel Brosnahan, when she won.
Oh, okay.
You know, she basically like took like the last 10 seconds of her time and made a point about how, like, you know, for women especially, but I think her message was to everybody, like, that, you know, it's been a big deal to like let our voices be heard these last couple of years, and the most important way we can do that is to vote.
Yeah.
And I stand by that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that is such an important message. Yeah. Anyway, but let's get into the Camdens.
Okay.
And how they handle this.
How they handle their shit.
Crap. So the show does a thing in this episode where Eric and Annie are doing a lot of like lecturing.
Yeah.
Right? And whoever they're lecturing to, like
blah 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 blah.
It becomes like the Muppets, like, or like the Muppet Babies, where the adult is just like,
basically.
That's literally what it is. It happens with the twins when Eric is lecturing them about not calling each other stupid, or anyone stupid. It happens with Martin when Eric is trying to get him to understand that, like, you know, obviously he has strong political opinions and to be careful about how he shares them in the house. Mm-hmm. It happens with Ruthie when Eric's trying to tell Ruthie, like,
about her homework in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you do your homework?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It happens with Lucy when Annie's trying to get her to register because she hasn't registered yet. It happens a lot.
Yep.
So, and I like how that kind of comes full circle too towards the end when Eric realizes, like, you know, parents love to talk more than children like to listen.
Yep.
And, like, he's going to start to pull back on the lecturing.
Yeah.
And do more of, like, listening and engaging.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was, like, kind of important.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
the show addresses that.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's actually going to make a difference come future episodes.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Probably not. But he does kind of pull back at the end of this episode where Ruthie comes home and she's like, I did my paper. He's like, cool. She's like, aren't you going to ask what it was about or da-da-da? And he's like, I will take whatever you give me. Like, if you want to share it with me, I'll read it. And if not, then I'm glad you did it. Like, he's like super chill about it.
Yep.
And Ruthie's like not tuning out for the first time.
Yeah.
She's
like, huh? What's happening?
Yeah. But we do get this cute line or this cute moment between her and Martin.
What did your dad just say to you?
I don't know. What was he saying to you when I came down?
I don't know.
Well, then it probably doesn't matter.
It's like I just blank out sometimes when he's talking to me.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
It was cute. It was
Yeah.
a cute moment, like, of just like, yeah, this isn't new.
Yeah.
Like, this has been going on forever. But yeah. So I don't know how you felt about it, but I felt like this episode really centered around Lucy and Kevin in terms of their whole thing with each other.
Yeah.
And then kind of like the B story was like Ruthie and Martin and that whole thing.
Yeah.
Which makes me want to talk about that because I have a lot of problems. I have a lot of issues with the portrayal of high school kids
Yeah.
on this show.
Same.
Or and this episode in particular.
Yeah.
Like the way that apparently there's like everyone's like willing to have this like even-handed like debate outside of school after school. Like my problem is like actually the things that were being said were like super valid and like worth mentioning and like saying. It's just so unrealistic that like
Thank you.
This is happening at this level, like that this level of discourse is happening between 14 to 18-year-olds.
And it's just, it's too choreographed and way too polished.
Yeah.
Their vocabulary and their grammar. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound real.
And it genuinely too felt like it felt like this was like one of those what's the word I'm looking for? Like a rap battle or like a riff off or whatever.
Basically,
like, there's like groups of 3 people coming together in a circle and they're all like saying their piece. You know? Like it felt like you said, it's just a little too perfect.
Yeah, way too polished.
And it almost takes you out of it. Because
Exactly.
you can't really hear what they're saying because you're focusing on the orchestration of all of it.
Thank you. Yeah. At some point I was hearing blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty funny. But I'm going to play the clip because I feel like, again, the points they're making, and again, the show, I have to give the show props because pretty even-handed, like pretty, balanced sort of points of view and ideas and thoughts being presented.
Come on, Martin. We all know you're a hawk, but what about the people that are dying? The innocent people.
What about the innocent people who were dying before we had anything to do with it?
Right on, dude. I just don't want to see any more Iraqis lose their lives.
I have family in Iraq. They're very grateful to America. They say now they have hope for their children's future, something they didn't have before.
Yeah, well, I've got relatives in Iraq, and they still don't have electricity where they are.
So my dad's supposed to what? Protect people and put up power lines?
Why should we be concerned with getting anyone electricity? Do you know how many people in Appalachia can't pay their electric bills and don't have electricity? You don't hear them whining. And you don't see us doing anything to help our own country.
So what does that mean? We should only help people who live in America?
Yeah, that's exactly what it means.
You think what goes on in one part of the world doesn't affect what goes on in every part of the world?
Absolutely. So why isn't the U.S. stepping in to protect Africa? Why isn't the Sudan in the news every day? Innocent people are dying by the millions.
Maybe if we weren't fighting a war in Iraq, we'd have resources to do that.
Well, why are you guys so concerned about peace in Iraq? There's not going to be peace anywhere until there's peace throughout the Middle East.
If you ask me, we should be paying more attention to North Korea. I mean, we ought to be putting some funds towards that situation.
Why leave home to spend our money? You think Native Americans have been treated fairly? You think we won't benefit from a few bucks from that war chest?
Of course, but historically we always helped out. Do we stop helping people now because people hate us? And not everyone hates us. I'm Italian, 2nd generation. My father says if America hadn't rescued our families during World War II, we'd still be hiding from Mussolini.
Mussolini would be 121 years old now. Maybe if we weren't so busy policing the world, we could police our own neighborhoods. Come on, my brother's a cop. You know what he makes?
You know what I make? Let's go. This discussion's over.
Well?
Well, what?
Don't you have an opinion about anything? I mean, a cause you'd be willing to speak up for?
Yeah, of course I do. I'll speak up when I'm ready to speak up.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth noting because I recognize that was an audio clip and maybe hard to sort of differentiate. Like every single person who spoke, it was a different person in that clip. And sort of racially and ethnically diverse group of kids.
Yeah.
Which, again, worth mentioning for a show like this. Like pretty even-handed, pretty fair. the guy at the end who was like, do you know how much I make, was a teacher.
Yeah.
Who was basically just like trying to prevent the loitering that was happening in front of the school, and was like, let's break it up, kids, go home or whatever. Which that in and of itself too is kind of worth having happen, because it sort of like represents that other side of the coin of people who are like, ugh, whatever, like, can we just go home? You know what I mean? Especially having it be an adult when these are all like underage kids who can't even vote, mentioning or like having these opinions and thoughts in this discourse, whatever. Again, all like fine, you know, like I don't really have like anything bad to say about it, other than just like, it's like, okay, how perfect that every single one of these 15 kids has like amazing point to make about life. You know? Like, it's like a little too much, but like, again, worthwhile things to talk about. And like, I especially love the guy who's like, what about North Korea? I feel like we should be putting some energy into that right now. And it's like, yeah, dude, we hear you loud and clear 20 years later.
I know.
Or 10 years later or whatever. Yeah, so again, whatever. And then, so here's my thought. Or actually, I want to ask you. So when Ruthie said that, right, when she's like, yeah, I have opinions, I'll just talk when I'm ready to.
Yeah.
What was your takeaway from that?
I know that once upon a time, I was exactly where Ruthie was. Yeah, I don't know how to form my opinion at times when I don't know what the hell. Like, if you're not educated on it, don't speak. If you don't know both sides, that's it. Like, you got to know your argument, or you got to know what you're fighting for. So what is she going to like spout out there? What is she going to say? What is she going to add to that? Nothing. And she might not, well, I don't want to say like look like an idiot, because that's wrong too, but
well, Martin makes her feel like an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, first of all, this girl is 14. Let her do her own research and come up with her own opinions. And she hasn't. That's it.
Yeah.
It's fair.
But see, when she said that, I was like, good on you, Ruthie. Like, you're not just going to be this like hothead who like, you know, just like stands on her soapbox and says whatever she wants to say.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, like I'm sure she's very well informed, but she's going to pick and choose her moments when she has the right thing, like when she feels like she has the right thing to offer, you know? But that kind of ended up not being the case, because we learned that, like, in fact, Ruthie is not informed.
Yeah.
In fact, she herself feels like a dum-dum because she doesn't, you know, read or follow the world events and, you know, pay attention or whatever. And she's been so, like, focused on boys and stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, so she's, like, kicking herself.
Yeah.
But really, I don't even know that she would feel that way if it wasn't for what Martin said to her.
Exactly.
Like it's not fair that Martin made her feel that way either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And people will speak up when they want to.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like, Ruthie could have said something, just thrown anything out there.
Well, I believe that she couldn't in that moment.
Yeah, well,
she truly was uninformed, like, about anything.
No, I know, but some people just spout like random shit here and there that they hear, and they think, oh, they know it all.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Like she could have done that, but that's so not Ruthie.
Exactly.
You know?
And again, good for her for standing up, saying, yeah, I'll speak up whenever I want to. I appreciated that.
Yeah,
I did. I don't think there was anything wrong with it.
It
and
just
and
came
again,
off a little like defensive in hindsight.
Well,
like in hindsight, knowing that she's like, she feels like a dum-dum herself.
Yeah.
That she's like, oh, I'll speak when I want, when I'm ready to.
Oh,
but,
yeah, definitely. It does sound defensive, but like, you can't help but get defensive when someone is approaching you that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like what I'm trying to say is like Martin was the wrong party here.
He's more aggressive.
Because he's obviously very opinionated.
Yeah.
You know, his dad's in the military. Again, it's hard to know exactly where he falls on the spectrum. But,
exactly.
But you got to figure he's probably like pro our current, like that current government, you know, in one way or another, or at least pro war or whatever, you know? And so like, yeah, so he's coming at it very like aggro, like, like I have opinions. Why don't you have opinions? Like, let's have a discourse.
Well, and everybody was sharing their opinions quite calmly. Like everyone
very calmly,
yeah,
very level-headed.
And he's like, well, what? My dad's supposed to put up the power lines too. And he's more argumentative.
Yes.
He's more defensive than any of them.
Which is what Eric's original point was to him. That like, listen, we get it. You've got opinions, you've got thoughts, and whatever, and no one's taking that away from you. But like, just be careful how you express those things in our house because you're surrounded by like children, you know, who are susceptible, especially the kids, because the twins are like. They actually step into the forefront a little bit in this episode.
Yeah, they do.
Because the whole message, right, is like the lens of children at the end and all that shit. But like the twins are very like aggro against each other in this episode. Like they're calling each other names.
Stupid.
They're sort of staking their independence from each other.
Yeah.
Like they're like trying to be like, I don't know what David's doing. I don't know what Sam's doing. Whatever, you know.
And even the way that they're putting their laundry away, they're arguing about that. Like, you shouldn't do it that way, stupid. No, you're stupid. It's like, ooh. And how I felt about that word is so funny. I'm like, the fact that it came up in this episode. No, we don't call each other stupid. And and it's how I feel. Like, I think stupid is such an ugly word.
Well, not only that, but it's also like the lowest common denominator. Yeah. Like, if that's the best insult you have for someone, like, I don't even respect you as an insult person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as an insulter. Like it's such a childish and like stupid place to come from. Like, oh, you're stupid because you're doing things differently than I do or whatever. Like, it's just stupid, you know? There you go. But yeah, so that was Eric's original point, is like, especially to Martin, who he figures is, you know, well versed enough and old enough at this point in his life, like mature enough, I guess is the right word, like to understand like when to temper himself and when to have opinions and you know, stand for something or whatever. And Eric's point was just like, dude, like I'm not saying don't have your opinions. I'm not even trying to change your mind or anything. I'm just saying like, just like be careful, especially in this house, like how you come across. You know, and even that just goes right over Martin's head.
Yeah, he's like, just tell me what to
blah,
do.
Blah 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 blah. You know, he can't even hear it because he's being talked at instead of talked to.
Yeah. And whenever you hear him say, like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
That's right.
I was like, oh, that's wrong.
Well, and that's what gives Eric his wake-up call of like, oh shit, you're right. I've been talking at you. I've been lecturing you. That's not going to get us anywhere. Like, we need to like have a discourse ourselves. You know, we need to like open our communication. In fact, this whole episode sort of serves as an allegory, I think, for communication.
Yeah.
Like several times, you know, people get heated and in sort of like an argumentative state, particularly between Kevin and Lucy with each other.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, fucking politics, man. Like, look what it does to us. And I'm like, you can't blame politics for your lack of communication.
Yeah. It's
like,
true.
Like, just because you happen to be talking about politics and it's getting you heated doesn't mean that politics is the problem. It just means that you don't know how to communicate with each other calmly and level-headedly.
And honestly, I mean, even though, yes, Eric did explain this, like, we're just so used to talking and not listening, but that's really true with most people in general. Everybody is ready to give their opinion, but they haven't even listened. They're really not listening to the person speaking to them. They're already getting ready and geared up to give their voice again. You just want to hear your own voice. That's how I feel about it. But
I think twice the statement gets said, politics makes people say stupid things to each other in some fashion.
Yeah.
I'm not quoting verbatim, but twice that sentiment gets portrayed. Or, you know, sort of indicated. Once, I think, by Annie to somebody.
Yeah.
And once, I don't know by who, but like, it caught my ear because I was like, is it politics that's making people say stupid things to each other or mean things to each other or insensitive things to each other? Or is it just us being insensitive and mean to each other?
Yeah, that's what it is. That just emotionally, you're not equipped to take a breath and be like, okay, hold on. Because don't you have like an inner voice that tells you, I don't know if I should really say that? Yeah. You know, like, you get what I'm saying?
All
like,
the time.
Because you can't step back. You can't take that shit back after you say it. And especially with the tone that you're going to say it in or whatever. And most times, like, everybody is more reactionary and more emotionally driven. So, okay, talking about politics, yes, like hits you or like pushes buttons, whatever, makes you all emotional, gets you aggravated or whatever. But you are not taking a breath to listen to the other person, and you feel like you're in a rock and a hard place, and then you have to just spout out the first thing that comes to your mind. And usually the first thing is something mean, and not well thought out.
Because
it's always aggressive.
It's easy to be mean
Yes.
and negative. But so taking not a page out of this episode's book, as you were talking just now, I was like sort of formulating my own thing, which is to say this, like, this episode, I should say, like, says what we were just saying, how politics makes you da 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 da, right?
Yeah.
And politics, look at us arguing or whatever. But I'm gonna here's my hot take on that I'm formulating as I speak, so bear with me.
Okay.
But my hot take is this: it's not politics. Like, politics is the wrong word we use to describe the kind of discourse that's happening not only in this episode, but like today in our country, over the last 20 years in our country, whatever, forever probably in our country. Politics is the wrong word. Like, what's happening, what is being displayed in this episode and in life is people like coming from a place of standing for what they believe in. And it has nothing to do with politics. Like, it speaks to your values, the things that are important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, or maybe that's even too harsh of a word, but the consequence of the way that that our lives run, or the way that this democracy of ours runs, or whatever, the consequence of that is that our political people, like our representatives in the government, be it our congressmen, our senators, the president, whatever, like, or even just like local, like our mayors and shit, like our political representatives are looked at and are meant to be this, like, representation of our beliefs and the things that we stand for, which makes it very messy because it makes it black and white.
Yeah,
it makes it like you win or you lose. You're in office or you're not.
Yeah.
And I think if we could take the political fucking circus out of our values, the things that we stand for, the things that we want to see, achieved or happen in our life and for our society and shit, like, it's so not binary. It's so not one or the other. Like, don't we all have things that we stand for and that we believe in that are just human, like humane things that we want, like fairness and equality and like just like decency and shit. Like, don't we all want that? Like, like, how do you pick one representative of that and go and then say that the other one lost and whatever he stands for doesn't matter because he lost? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the bigger issue here is like we call it politics, but really everyone's just fighting for and arguing for and advocating for the things that they care about.
Yeah.
Like, I have an acquaintance, if you will, who is telling me that she recently had an open dialogue with her parents who voted for our current president and were sort of ashamed and like didn't want to admit that fact because of, in light of everything that's happened over the last 2 years, like, are just thoroughly sort of, sad that they voted for him, and I said to her what I say to everybody, like, I actually don't think it's that big a deal that you voted for him. Like, because I think that a vote for him was a vote for whatever it is that you stand for and believe in. And you should stand by those things that you stand for and believe in.
Yeah.
Regardless of one fucking clown is going to be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
And I told her that, and I was like, you know, like, I don't know if you can tell your parents that or whatever, but I genuinely feel like it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, they voted however they voted because they believed in something and stood for something. And they shouldn't go back on that.
Yeah.
Just because this guy's going to be gone tomorrow and he's a fucking moron. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I don't know. So yeah, sorry, that kind of took a turn, like a little bit off topic or whatever, but because it was bugging me that we kept saying, or that the show keeps saying, politics makes people, or this is all political, and it's like, it is, but it isn't really. It's about what you believe in, what you stand for, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hear you.
So Ruthie's kind of whole like mission, I guess, in this episode becomes like getting more informed.
Yeah.
And she kind of goes a little like, you know, hardcore about it. And she's like, I'm going to forget all about boys and I'm just going to read articles and read the news and whatever all day, which good for you, you know, probably, you know, you're too young to be worried about boys or whatever, at least from Eric's standpoint. But what I do love is that she gets this like pulpit moment at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I feel about her point about how like if kids could vote, it would be different or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I did have this moment where I was like, you know what? Like, first of all, registration for voting is a fucking joke. It's meant to keep people out. Yeah. Like if it's my right, if it's my fucking like God, like if it's my God-given or whatever right to participate in this democracy, then I shouldn't have to register to vote. I should be able to vote when I want to vote.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, why can't everybody fucking vote?
Yeah, I don't...
Like, why do we draw a line in the sand and go, well, if you're under 18, you can't really vote because you're not an adult? Like, why not? I'm still living in this society. I'm still part of this democracy.
Yeah.
The decisions you make are going to affect me one day or one way or another.
Exactly.
Like, why can't I vote?
I remember thinking that a lot whenever I was younger. Like, I remember whenever I was like 15 or 16, I'm like, why can't I vote?
Yeah.
I remember thinking that a lot. I was like, this is stupid. I have to wait till I'm 18.
I know.
To vote? Okay.
It's like just dumb.
Like,
I don't know.
I'm going to be uninformed at 18 and I'm going to be uninformed at 15. It doesn't matter. It's up to the person to be informed. It's their job. It's their duty to be part of society, or, you know.
That's right. That's right. And to say that a 16-year-old or a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old, like, or whoever the fuck, like, can't be informed to make their own decision about something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get it. You probably, like, we should probably draw a line in the sand of, like, well, if you can't read, you shouldn't vote. Like, I get that part. Like, I'm not being, like, crazy here. Like, I get it. There's a reason why we put a line in the sand to begin with.
Yeah.
But 18 is such a bullshit arbitrary number anyway. Like, it's not good for anything else. You can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do anything at 18.
But you can go fight for your country.
Yeah, but you can enlist in the army and you can vote at 18. Like, what? Why? Like, what? Like, what's so special about 18? What's so special about 21? What's so special about anything? I feel like there should be like some sort of a, like, I don't know, like some sort of like thing that could just differentiate, you know. But then again, I'm negating my own point. The point being, like, that if you're a member of the society, you should be able to fucking vote. The idea of registration, is a joke. It's a fucking joke.
Oh well.
It's just another barrier to entry. It's just another barrier to participating in the democratic process.
Yep.
Like, why should that matter? Anyway, now we're getting too heady.
For seventh heaven.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's Ruthie's kind of whole point at the end is like, if kids could vote or whatever, if we all could vote, you know, like we'd have a society where like no kid would go hungry or da 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 and whatever, blah blah blah. And then they do that hilariously cheesy thing at the
Vote
end.
for me. Vote for me.
Every single one of the 15 kids at the school, like gets to say, "Vote for me, vote for me, vote for me." And then once you veer into the adults, like with Matt,
vote,
vote.
Oh, that was
Carlos says.
Oh, Carlos, vote.
Yeah. So now I kind of want to just talk about Lucy and Kevin.
Okay.
What a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first thing we need to discuss is this Lucy's first election since she's turned 18?
Apparently, right?
Because I think we did the math. She's about 22, right?
I think, or 21, 20. Yeah, 22, something.
Which then 4 years ago would have put her probably on the cusp. Like she probably was like just under 18 at the election time in 2000. So she couldn't vote then. So her whole thing is like she hasn't registered to vote. And Annie knows about it.
Yeah.
And is like sworn to secrecy. And she's like, and she keeps like lying about having gone and registered.
Yeah, which I don't understand.
I don't understand that either. Like, what is happening? And then Annie accidentally tells Eric that Lucy hasn't registered, but not before Eric accidentally tells Annie that Kevin isn't registered either. Which is particularly fucked up given this conversation that Kevin and Lucy have.
I filled up your car for you.
Oh, I could have done that, but thanks. See you later.
What time will you be home?
I'm not sure. I'm going to a political debate. They're going to talk about women's issues in the election.
As opposed to men's issues or human issues?
It's a class assignment. I have to go. And I want to go. Should be very informative.
What are you going to do with the information?
What do you mean?
I know your little secret. You're not registered to vote.
I registered this morning.
When?
When? On the way back home from dropping the twins off at school.
Oh, great. Where?
Where? Where they register people to vote. What's the matter? You don't believe me?
Hey, you still have 1 week. I'll take you if you want.
I don't need you to take me. I took me. I registered to vote.
Which party?
Why do you want to know that?
Just curious. We've never really discussed politics that much.
So let's not start now. See you later. Thanks for filling up the car.
So, a couple of things happen here that I think is important.
Yeah.
One, Kevin fills up the car.
Yep.
And Lucy reacts weird. All she had to say was thanks.
Mm-hmm.
She took it a step further. I could have done that.
Yeah.
But thanks. Why? What's that about?
I don't know.
Like, is she so adamant to like declare her independence that she can't even just say thank you? Like, she has to qualify her thank you with, I could have done that, but thanks.
Yeah.
Which, again, I say, like, fine. Because I'm like that too. I'm that person. But I'm also not married or in a relationship. Like, I'm that single girl who's like, I don't need nobody to fill my fucking car up. I got this.
Yeah.
Okay. But you are in a relationship. This is your husband, the father of your unborn child. Like, can we not kid ourselves that, like, you guys are in a partnership and him filling up your car is not him taking your independence away, but just playing a part in this partnership.
Yeah.
Like, the car needed filling, so he fucking filled it.
Yep.
Like, what? Like, what? Like, it's just, she reacts so weird. Then it gets even weirder when she mentions women's issues.
Yeah.
And he's like, as opposed to men's or human issues.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say about that.
I really hated that entire little.
But can you help me understand why I hated it too? Why did I hate that so much?
I just don't understand. I don't know. It just, I don't know. It like rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay, let's try to unpack this. Like,
Let's
for
try.
real. Okay. And let's you and I try to be super calm and like even handed about it, right? Okay. What is a women's issue in a political debate or discourse? What is a women's issue?
I mean, I don't, day and age of like Me Too, I don't know. Like, is it? It's not even about that.
Yeah, forget even this day and age.
Like, what is a woman's
2004,
issue?
what is a woman's issue? Abortions. Okay. Healthcare, birth control,
yes.
things like that. Okay. Those are what we can agree politically speaking. Yes.
Pay gap would be another one. What else would there?
Let's just.
That sounds weird when I say what else could there be?
Right.
I mean,
let's just keep it at those three things, just for the sake of this conversation.
Yeah.
Let's say those are the women's issues. Okay. So she's going to a discussion about women's issues.
Yeah.
Where they're going to talk about what? Like, what are they going to say? Are they going to say we should have abortions, we should have equal pay, and we should have access to birth control? Okay, fine.
Okay, yeah.
So that's one side of the coin, right?
Yeah.
What's the other side of the coin? Is the other side of the coin men's issues? Or is the other side of the coin like, you shouldn't have abortions, you shouldn't have birth control, you shouldn't have equal pay?
Yeah.
Because for Kevin to be like, as opposed to men's issues or human issues, is to negate or not negate, let me try to find the words, like, is to, like, yeah, maybe negate, right? Like, is to negate what it is about those three issues that makes them women's issues.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to say, oh, it's everyone's issue about birth control and equal pay and whatever. Like, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
Because he's right. Like, that is a human issue.
Yeah,
like,
it's a
we should
whole.
all care about having equal pay, access to birth control, and, you know, things like abortion or like, you know, ways to solve, you know, pregnancy or whatever, things like that. Like, that is a human issue. But for him to say it that way, like, it just rubs you wrong, right?
It does.
Like,
it does rub you wrong.
I don't know why, though, because he's not wrong. It's just like, ugh, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the wording or
the fact that he's a man, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like for a man to be like, these are human issues, it's like, bitch, you don't know. You know? A little bit. I don't know. It is a weird thing. And listen, I'm willing to admit that I'm the wrong, like, not wrong, but like, I'm the minority here, that what Kevin is saying is like an egalitarian stance, and that I'm just hearing it wrong. Like, I'm willing to admit that. But like, so like, listeners, I'm putting this out to you. Like, let us know, like, write into us, because I'm curious to see how that sounds or how that comes off.
I know it
to you today. You know,
it's weird that I didn't want it to rub me the wrong way, but it did.
It did, right?
It's
like,
weird.
And I don't quite know why. It just does. And I don't know if I'm just wrong or if I'm just like quick to be rubbed wrong, you know, or what. But it's like, I don't know. I think too, the problem in this moment, in this particular scene, is that Lucy doesn't really have anything to come back after he says that. Like, he says, as opposed to humans issues, and she doesn't get to like rebut him. Yeah. You know, she kind of has to like take it, which also is a little off, right? Like, she should have the ability to be like, okay, but like, are you worried about abortions or am I worried about abortions? Something like that. You know what I mean? Like, something to that effect.
Because I'm thinking about it, like, okay, had he not said that, had he just said, like, okay, so what are the topics? And then what are the topics? What was she going to say? It's going to sound like a bullet point, like, you know what I mean? Like, is it going to just sound like another, you know, the exact same scene that we had with the teenagers where everyone's going to give like bullet points of like arguments?
Yeah, but you know what though?
And then it's going to come off cheesy again, or?
Well, but I'd rather it come off cheesy than like sexist or something like that. You know what I mean?
I know. He could have, like, that scene could have been written where he asks, well, what are the topics? Or he could, or something like, wait, doesn't it matter to all of us?
Let's be real. It would have been even better if Lucy had just said, I'm going to a forum where we're discussing boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And that way it wouldn't have become a woman and man thing. It would have just been, I'm going to this forum where we're discussing boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Well, clearly I'm going to blame the show then. The fact that they are pinning this couple against each other.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the conflict of this episode, is these two sort of failing to communicate in a way that is important to their relationship, not just in life, but just in the soul, in that very narrow ecosystem that is their relationship. Like, they are failing to communicate. She's lying about having registered.
Yeah.
He's making a big deal about women's issues. She's making a big deal about him filling up her car for her.
Yeah.
They walk away from this little encounter sort of at odds with each other.
Yeah.
And then it becomes even more at odds when Annie and Lucy are at dinner together.
Yeah.
And this is where, we learn a few things, right? We learn Kevin's not registered either. We learn that Annie never voted. We learn that Eric never voted. And then it just sort of like fuels Lucy's fire to be like, why'd you give me a hard time about not registering when you're not registered? And it's like all of a sudden they're like, once again, they're failing to communicate and be on the same page.
And giving each other lame ass excuses one after the other, where it's like, dude, it's okay. Just own up saying you didn't.
I know.
Just own up to saying you didn't.
You both know you have a week to go. Just do it.
Exactly.
What is this big fucking deal? Just do it. If it's important to you.
Yeah.
Which I guess it is, because you won't shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah, especially Kevin too. Like, both of them just won't shut up. Kevin, just say, hey, let's go together.
Yeah.
That would have solved everything.
I mean, he does offer, but she's now dug her hole where she's like, I already did it. And it's like, well, but you didn't though. And why do you feel the need to like one up your husband?
Well,
like, what is this? And Annie and Eric are in the same trap too, because neither wants to admit to each other that they didn't vote in the last election. It's like, what's happening? What are we supposed to learn from this as an audience member? Like, as I'm watching these people fail to communicate, fail to be on the same page with each other, what am I getting out of this?
That they suck. I'm kidding. Like, that they suck.
I do want to give a shout out to this moment though, when Annie and Lucy are talking, and we learn, or Lucy learns certain things and then kind of like blows up about it.
Yep.
Did Dad tell you that Kevin's not registered? Because that would mean that Kevin told Dad before he told me.
Oh, does it really matter?
Did you tell Dad that I'm not registered?
Oh, Lucy, I'm sorry. It just slipped out.
How could it just slip out?
I don't know. Politics makes people say stupid things to each other.
I'll say.
I beg your pardon.
I don't care how old I get. Everyone else in the family always knows everything before I do.
I'm sorry, Luce. Let's not make this little slip of the tongue, part of a lifelong syndrome.
I really appreciated that little call out.
Yeah.
That little sidestep into a moment of brevity. Like, that this is
So
just
good.
a fucking complex for Lucy.
Yeah, always. I'm always the last one to find out. Shut up!
Lucy, you are a grown ass about to be a mother. Like, drop it. You know?
Just accept it. You're always going to be the last to know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just let it go, girl. Let it go. Be an Elsa. Yeah, So anyway, so then they run into each other at the promenade, Kevin and Lucy.
Oh, man.
And they're right outside. They happen to be right outside the registration building or whatever.
Of course.
All this time, you let me and your daughter think you're a registered voter.
I was. I just haven't changed my registration since I moved here.
And yet, you let me think that I'm a traitor to my country because I haven't registered to vote. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Why? Because you're ashamed of yourself?
No, I'm not ashamed of myself. I'm going to school, I'm getting my degree, I'm working, I'm having a baby, and I'm kind of proud of myself for everything else I'm doing. Maybe I haven't had time to register to vote. But you, what are you doing that you couldn't register to vote?
Let's see. Going to your doctor appointments, picking up midnight snacks, filling up your car, fetching things day and night. Oh, and let me see, what else is there? Oh, yeah, protecting the safety of everyone in the city of Glen Oak. Maybe I didn't have time to change my registration to vote.
So I'm your excuse? Me and your daughter and our needs are keeping you from doing what any other decent citizen should be doing?
Since when did it become the two of you against me?
Since you acted like my not registering to vote was stupid.
I didn't call you stupid.
Not in so many words, but
Bud?
we think you are just as stupid.
Do these people realize that registration is literally just signing your name on a piece of paper and that nothing, like, it takes less than half a second and it doesn't really mean anything?
Yeah. It's too much.
They fucking talk about it like it's like this big to do and like, I'm so busy, I'm going to school and growing a person inside of me and I am a police officer. Like, bitch, just go fucking sign the piece of paper that makes you registered. Like, it's not the end of the fucking world. Like,
this shit is ridiculous.
It's so stupid. Like on the one hand, I mean, because I hear myself, on the one hand, registration is a joke. The idea that you have to like sign up to do the thing that you have the right to do is bullshit. But on the other hand, it's also like not that big a fucking deal. Just go. The amount of time they spent arguing outside of the fucking registration office, they could have gone and registered 5 times already.
Yep.
Like, what is their deal, dude? It's so dumb.
They just like pinning them against each other. And giving their excuses of why they didn't register.
Yeah.
It was sad.
But I feel like too, though, the show is trying to tell the audience, like, look at these idiots. You know what I mean? I don't know that the show is necessarily on their side just because they're portraying this argument. I think they're portraying this argument to show the audience, like, look at these morons. They could have done this already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're too busy at each other's throats to get anything done. Which is the whole point of politics or whatever. You know what I mean? So,
God, man, why do you have to make both of them so annoying?
I know.
That's what it is.
Hard to
it's watch.
Because we're supposed to care about them and root for them, and they're just being a bunch of morons. Like, it's just, it's a little incongruous in terms of what we're trying to do here. This is a television show in the end, you know? Like
you're seeing the bigger picture here, which is great. But I wonder if everybody got that then.
Who knows? Maybe. Listen, I'm willing to give 2004 audiences the benefit of the doubt. What do I know? But it's just annoying.
Yeah, because
it's annoying to watch.
You wanted to scream at the TV, just going like, "Shut up and just go do it."
I know. It's like, we've been talking about this for 15 minutes. You could have gone and done it already. Like, why?
Stupid.
But I will say this moment does set up something that ends up not paying off, but sort of also thematically tying in later on. So this idea of like, you know, me and your daughter and right? Like the idea that like Lucy is like now 2 people in this world that she's representing or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then so cut to on the other side of the fucking country, Carlos is also being pressured to register by Mary, unseen, and by Eric, who calls him and is like, "Are you registered?" You know, whatever. And he also lies, says he is, but he's not. But then he goes to register, runs into Matt while he's there, which I loved that.
Yep.
Them two together was like fun to watch. Mm-hmm. They were like this little like brother-in-law bonding moment, which is fun. But then Carlos introduces this idea that like that Mary gets to tell him how to vote because she had this baby like for him, or because she brought this child into the world.
Yeah,
that he is the father of, but she's the mother of. That she gets to decide how he votes because of that. Which I gotta be honest, I've been on this planet for quite a while, and I've heard some crazy shit. I've never heard that as an idea. In my life. That concept has never happened in my life, that a wife or a mother or whatever gets to dictate
what their spouse is going to vote for or vote for
because they had their baby. Specifically because they had their baby. Like, threw me for a fucking loop. I was like, wait, what?
Why do we keep doing this to Mary?
No, it's not just Mary though. It's the concept is the problem.
I know.
Because the same shit happens with Lucy and Kevin at the end. Yeah. Spoiler alert, they register, right? And they're talking about like, now we just have to vote. And Lucy's like, you know, I would never make you vote one way or another just because I'm having your baby. And it's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, why
what
was
does
this even
one
a
have
topic?
to do with the other? Like, what? Like, first of all, okay, I'm not saying that a couple, just because they're a couple, has to vote the same way, But I feel like, as we talked about, politics is more than just a candidate. It's a set of beliefs and things that you stand for.
Yeah.
And if you don't even stand for the same things and would vote differently anyway, then having a kid shouldn't change that.
Yeah.
Like, or rather wouldn't change that. Like, what? Like, the whole thing is just so conceptually flawed. This idea they introduce.
Yeah.
Like Carlos doesn't get to vote for whoever he wants to vote for because he had a kid with Mary and Mary's got opinions and she decides. What?
Yeah. Oh, it's weird.
It is weird. We also get a glimpse into the idea that Mary wouldn't be voting for the same person that her parents or that Eric would be voting for.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next idea. Let's go down the line. What do we think each one is?
Right?
This could be fun. It could be bad, but it could be fun. So let's start with Eric. What do we think Eric is? Republican or a Democrat?
I guess Republican. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll stipulate to that. I think so too. Okay, what about Annie?
Ooh. It's almost like she's been against Eric a few times whenever they get when they talk about politics, right? All right, I'm going to go with Democrat.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
I have to. In my mind, Annie and Eric don't vote the same.
Yeah, same. Yeah, that's what I think.
Which I feel like is part of their sexual chemistry that they're talking about at the end. Because you guys, like, they bone hard over the argument about neither of them having voted.
Seriously.
And which is why I think it's funny that they're like, oh, who could remember or who could forget the night of the Terminator and of Carter, da-da-da. And I think it's because they are on opposite sides of the spectrum. And so they kind of get it all out of their system by fucking or whatever. So I'm going to go Annie's a Democrat too.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about Matt?
Ooh, Democrat.
Interesting. I would have actually pegged him for a Republican.
I'm just going to go for Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of tracks his thoughts about teenage sex and stuff.
Yeah.
Or the idea that, not to be like abstinence only or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna go Republican for Matt, just because I think that he's just conservative enough. Like he's a little like straight laced and a little, he's got some opinions about things. And again, he did marry a Jew. I don't know. Okay, I stand by it. I'm gonna go Republican for Matt.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about let's talk about Mary and I guess Carlos de facto.
Apparently Democrats right there.
You think? Well, yeah, I guess if they're going anti-Eric, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she must be.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to rallies and shit.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I'll stand. Yeah, that makes sense. She's a Democrat. All right. Let's talk about Lucy and Kevin.
I can see Lucy going Republican, like voting Republican.
Really?
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
I was going to say Lucy's a Democrat, but Kevin's a Republican.
Oh, Kevin definitely a Republican. Definitely. But Lucy is in the middle for me. Mm-hmm. I see her in the middle, but I can kind of seeing her lean a little more Republican, just a little bit. I think she's not as hardcore as Kevin is, but Kevin, Republican. Without a doubt.
Kevin is for sure Republican. I take your point about Lucy. I feel like Lucy is probably like a social Republican. Like, you know what I mean? Like in the way that she is about things. Mm-hmm. But I can also see her. Well, see, I say that, but then I'm like, but I do believe that she is like, she's one for the people, she's one for like the little guy and like, all the things that she's participated in, like Habitat for Humanity and stuff, like makes me think that her sensibilities sort of veer.
Yeah, I know. Like that's why it's just like she's in that fine line where I can't really tell.
Okay, which funnily enough kind of makes sense, like why she might be so hesitant to like register and like commit one way or another, because she maybe is like truly undecided and like
Ruthie.
Yeah,
maybe.
okay, but Martin's a hardcore Republican, right?
That's what I think.
That's where I go too,
Yeah.
because he's like so pro-war, so pro-military that I feel like even if he's not like hardcore Republican, he's like definitely hardcore the Bush administration.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like he is in love with the Bushes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that everyone? Oh, we didn't talk about Simon, but he's not in this episode.
Yeah, he doesn't
so
give
it's
his
a
opinion
little
about
unfair.
anything. But let's just say Democrat.
Well, yeah, he is in film school.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then I feel like Ruthie's like hardcore libertarian. Like,
yes.
Ruthie's like Green Party all the way.
Yeah. She's like, fuck off.
And then the twins are just little. They're too little to matter, I think.
Yeah.
Like if there is a line in the sand that I would want to draw age-wise, like it would be with the twins' age. Like they are too young. They're clearly too immature to participate in the democratic process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To formulate opinions and to be even-handed and fair and just in how they think about things. They're obviously too young for that.
Yeah.
But I feel like Ruthie's age, like prime, dude. I mean, she's crushing it. She's such a like mature person. Why shouldn't she get to vote? Fuck.
Yeah. She just needs to get informed, as she said.
Yeah.
Not call herself a dum-dum.
Also, did we know that Ruthie was left-handed? Have we talked about this before? And I'm just surprised every time I see it.
I think we talked about it, yeah.
Because that makes for three of them. Annie's left-handed. Ruthie's left-handed. Isn't Simon left-handed?
I think Simon is.
One of them I know. Maybe it's not Simon, but I know one other one is left-handed because I know I've called it out before.
Yeah.
So like that's like a pretty like genetically balanced fam. Like I'm here for it.
They thought about it.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
It's
But
cute.
still.
They definitely didn't.
They're like, oh, how cute. That worked out.
Yeah. Did we do it?
Oh, we really did.
I feel like I'm talked out.
We did and buried it.
Yeah. So let's rate this episode.
2 thumbs down.
Yeah.
Didn't waste time on that.
Dud. This episode is a dud. I genuinely appreciated our conversation out of it. But I like this episode is just like a hardcore dud.
And this whole thing about like them throwing out shame. I'm ashamed. Are you ashamed? Shame. I couldn't. Yeah.
Nope. Do you want to talk more about that? Because I know you had some thoughts about that.
Well, when you hear Eric saying like, I think having shame is a good thing, like, or God, what did he say?
I think he says it like how, you know, we shame those who think one way or another, or we shame people for not registering or for not voting.
And he's
whatever.
saying how like shame can be useful.
Mm-hmm. He actually says those words.
And I'm just like, no, shaming is not useful. It's not. It just puts people in a room of not actually working on themselves, because shame just actually can make you, it just debilitates you from doing anything else. Shame is what addicts have. It's what they feel. They're ashamed. Guilt is what everybody needs. Feeling guilty is an actual good moral compass, because if you don't feel any guilt, then you are a psychopath. You are a murderer. Mm-hmm. It's the truth, though.
I hear you.
Being shamed or being shameful, fuck no. That does not help anybody. Guilt can actually steer you in the right way of like correcting your mistakes. Being ashamed, I don't think so.
But here's the thing, though. I totally get your point about the distinction between guilt and shame, and how guilt could be useful, or at the very least is the sign or the mark of an empathetic person or whatever. I totally get that. But I'm just, again, devil's advocating. I don't even know that I believe what I'm about to say, but I'm just saying it out loud kind of thing. Is either feeling really useful? Because it's not like you can do anything.
Well,
what really matters is, as you said, your actions and the things that you say and do and how you portray yourself in this world.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I get your point though, that like that guilt can help veer us in the right direction.
Yeah.
Whereas shame really just
keeps
locks
you
us away.
Yeah, it just keeps you in that same spot.
Yeah.
And can kind of just leave you there.
Yeah.
That's
It can stunt you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
that
see it as
tracks.
something useful.
That tracks.
Guilt.
I would argue too, and this is not me making excuses for the show, but just sort of knowing that the show is garbage. Like, I would argue that the show didn't think 10 steps ahead and didn't even make a distinction between guilt and shame. And probably meant guilt and said shame interchangeably. You know what I mean?
I know, probably, but
no, but you're right.
But
there
like,
is a distinction there.
Yeah. But that in itself, just putting that out there in media, that's
problematic. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
So, that's my only spiel on that crap.
No, I agree. I think you're right.
And leave it to the Republican to say it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, hey. Yeah, no, it's true. I get that. I think I agree with you on that.
Oh well. Seventh Heaven.
I mean, that's why we're doing this podcast about it, you guys, to highlight these types of egregious issues.
Yeah. God, it's hard with episodes like this. Like,
this is a tough one to really like break down, because really it comes down to like, you know, the message, right?
Yeah.
Like that sort of that pulpit, that what do you stand for?
Exactly.
Whatever.
Just give me the other episodes where I can just shit on it, okay?
Yeah.
Give me those episodes.
But I will say this though, like I have to say, it's still a 2 thumbs down episode. It's garbage.
Yeah.
But like, I do have to give the show some sort of props
for trying,
for doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like they figured, listen, because at the end of the day too, right? Like if you think about it from the meta sense, right? Like if I'm Brenda Hampton, whatever her beliefs, okay, let's assume, or let's not assume, but let's say Brenda Hampton, hardcore Bush apologist, hardcore Republican, hardcore pro-war. Like, that's just how she's going through life, right? Let's just assume that. Or not assume. Let's just say, for example, that's who Brenda Hampton is. That's how she, as a person, individual citizen in this world, is going through life.
Yeah.
Hardcore into everything that's going on at this point in time, right? If that's the case, she had nothing compelling her to write this episode.
Yeah.
Because why even talk about it, right? On the other hand, let's say she's not that. Let's say she's anti-Bush, anti this administration, anti-war, anti everything these conservatives stand for, right? That's how private citizen Brenda Hampton's going through life. Let's say that, right? In that case, she didn't have to write such an even-handed and level-headed episode where they don't take sides, and it's really not about sides. It's about voting. It's about getting your voice heard. It's whatever, right? So props to her one way or the other.
Yeah.
Because she accomplished a very even-handed, very fair episode, regardless of her own stances or beliefs or whatever she stands for. The show stands for getting your voice heard, not talking at people, talking with people or to people. Like, you know, like that's what the show stands for.
Yeah.
And that's something to be proud of, I think. Like,
yeah.
Or, you know, something to applaud or whatever. Maybe that's too strong a word, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I hear you.
To appreciate, you know? I don't know. Like, it's not the worst. It's just a bad episode.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
It's not the worst, but not that great.
It's not great. All right. Well, I think we've done it.
Oh, yeah. We buried it.
It's dead. All right. Well, until next time. Bye.
Bye.